Imagine this, gentlemen. You're walking through life, minding your own business, trying to embody that unshakable stoic calm we talk about so much here on STOIC Venture. You're not chasing validation. You're not begging for attention. You're just doing you, living with purpose, staying grounded. And then, out of nowhere, she shows up. Maybe it's a woman you've just met. Maybe it's someone you've known for a while, but something's different this time. The way she greets you. It's not just a casual hey or a half-hearted wave. No, there's something more, something subtle but powerful, something that catches your attention if you're sharp enough to notice. Welcome back to STOIC Venture, where we don't just talk about philosophy. We break down the real world through a stoic lens. Today we're diving deep into something every man needs to understand. The 5 ways a woman greets you when she really likes you. And trust me, this isn't about pickup lines or cheap tricks. This is about reading the signs with stoic clarity, staying composed, and knowing what's really going on beneath the surface. Let's set the stage here. Picture yourself as Marcus Aurelius for a second. Yeah, the Roman emperor, the Stoic legend. He once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Now, Marcus wasn't exactly sitting around decoding women's greetings. But if he were, he'd tell you the same thing I'm about to. Don't get swept away by emotion. Don't overthink it. Just observe. That's the Stoic way. And when a woman likes you, really likes you, she's not always going to come out and say it. She's not going to grab a megaphone and shout, "Hey, I'm into you." No, it's in the little things, the quiet signals, the way she moves through that first moment of seeing you. And if you've been following STOIC Venture for a while, you know we're all about mastering those details, because that's where the truth lives. So let's start with the first way a woman greets you when she's genuinely into you. Her eyes light up like a sunrise over the Roman Colosseum. Think about that for a second. You walk into a room, or maybe you're meeting her somewhere, a coffee shop, a park, wherever. And the moment she sees you, her face changes. It's not just a polite smile or a quick glance. Her eyes widen just a fraction. They sparkle. They lock onto you like you're the only thing worth looking at in that moment. Now, I'm not saying she's staring at you like a deer in headlights. That'd be creepy. But there's this subtle shift, this warmth, this energy that says, "Oh, it's you." And here's where the Stoicism comes in. You don't let that rattle you. You don't start puffing out your chest or tripping over yourself to impress her. You just notice it, file it away, and keep your cool. Because that's what we do here at STOIC Venture. We stay in control. Let me paint you a picture to really drive this home. A couple of years back, I was grabbing coffee with a buddy of mine. Let's call him Jake. Jake's a solid guy, not the loudest in the room, but he's got that quiet confidence, that stoic vibe we're always chasing. We're sitting there talking about life, when this woman walks in, someone he'd met a few times before. She spots him from across the room, and I swear it was like someone flipped a switch. Her eyes lit up. Her whole demeanor shifted. She didn't even realize she was doing it. She walks over, says, "Hey Jake, didn't expect to see you here." But it's not the words that matter. It's the way her gaze lingers on him, the way she's suddenly more present. Jake, being the stoic he is, just nods, gives her a calm, "Hey, good to see you too," and keeps sipping his coffee. Later I asked him, "You saw that, right?" He just smirked and said, "Yeah, I saw it. Doesn't mean I'm going to lose my head over it. That's the Stoic Venture way. Observe, don't obsess. Now, why does this happen? Why do our eyes give her away like that? It's not magic, it's human nature. When we see something or someone we're drawn to, our brains light up, literally. Dopamine kicks in, the pupils dilate just a bit, and the eyes become this window to what's going on inside. But here's the kicker. She might not even know she's doing it. That's why you've got to train yourself to catch it, to see past the surface. And when you do, it's like having a secret decoder ring for human connection. Except instead of a toy from a cereal box, it's a tool forged in the fires of Stoic wisdom. Here on Stoic Venture, we're not about chasing fleeting highs. We're about understanding what's real. Let's linger on this for a bit, because it's worth unpacking. Think about the last time someone greeted you. Anyone, not just a woman you're interested in. Did their eyes tell you anything? Did they light up, or did they stay flat, distracted, somewhere else? It's a small thing, but it's everything. I remember this one time, years ago. I was at a friend's wedding. The bride, beautiful, radiant, all that stuff, walks in, and she's greeting everyone as she makes her way through the crowd. She gets to her groom, and I kid you not, it's like the rest of the room vanished for her. Her eyes didn't just light up, they blazed. Now that's an extreme example. Wedding day vibes are off the charts, but it's the same principle. When a woman likes you, really likes you, her eyes are the first to spill the secret. And your job, stay stoic. Don't let it inflate your ego or throw you off balance. Just see it for what it is. So that's the first way. Those glowing eyes, that spark that says more than words ever could. And if you're sitting there thinking, okay, but what if I miss it? What if I'm not good at reading people? Don't worry. That's why we're here at Stoic Venture. We're not just throwing you into the deep end and saying, figure it out. We're breaking it down, step by step, so you can sharpen your senses and walk through life with that quiet, unbreakable confidence. Stick with me, because we've got 4 more ways to go, and trust me, they only get more interesting from here. So we've covered the eyes, those windows that light up and give you that first clue she's into you. But let's move on, because there's more to this than just a glance. Welcome back to Stoic Venture, where we're peeling back the layers of human behavior with the steady hand of Stoic wisdom. The second way a woman greets you when she really likes you. Her voice shifts. It softens, it warms. It's like she's tuning it just for you. Now, I'm not saying she's suddenly crooning love songs or whispering sweet nothings in your ear. This isn't a Hollywood romantic comedy. But there's this subtle change in her tone. This little melody that creeps in when she says your name or tosses out a simple, "Hey, how's it going?" It's like her voice is reaching out to wrap you in something personal, something meant only for you. And if you're paying attention, really paying attention, like we train ourselves to do here on Stoic Venture, you'll catch it. Let's break this down with a story, because that's how we roll here. Picture this. A few months ago, I'm out with some friends at this little bar downtown. It's one of those places with dim lights, wooden tables, the kind of spot where you can actually hear people talk instead of shouting over bad music. My buddy Paul's there. He's this laid-back guy, doesn't say much, but when he does, people listen. Classic Stoic energy, right? We're all chatting, having a good time, when this woman walks over, someone Paul knows from work. She's cool, confident, not the type to fumble over her words. She greets the group with a quick, "Hey, good to see you all." But then she turns to Paul, and it's like the air shifts. "Hey, Paul," she says, and her voice drops just a notch, softer, smoother, like she's savoring the sound of his name. The rest of us? We might as well have been furniture. Paul, being Paul, just nods back, calm as ever. "Hey, good to see you too." Later, I pulled him aside and said, "You heard that, right?" The way she said your name. He just shrugged, gave me that half smile of his and said, "Maybe. Doesn't change what I'm doing." That's the Stoic Venture mindset. Notice the signal, but don't let it derail you. Now, why does her voice do that? What's going on there? It's not random, and it's not some grand conspiracy. It's biology, psychology, and a little bit of instinct, all rolled into one. When we're drawn to someone, our bodies react. Our vocal cords relax just a bit. The pitch adjusts. The sharpness fades. It's like her voice is saying, "I'm comfortable with you. I'm happy you're here," even if her words are just casual. And here's where the stoic in you comes alive. You don't jump to conclusions. You don't start thinking, "Oh, she's head over heels. I've got her hooked." No, you observe it, you let it sit, and you keep your focus on what you can control. Your own reaction. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Here on Stoic Venture, we don't let our minds run wild. We stay anchored in what's real. Let's take this further because it's not just about the tone. It's the way she uses it. Maybe she lingers on your name a little longer than necessary. "Hey, John," instead of just, "Hey, John." Or maybe she throws in a little laugh, a tiny giggle that's not there when she's greeting anyone else. I saw this once with my cousin Mike. He's a big guy, kind of intimidating at first, but he's got this dry humor that sneaks up on you. We're at a family barbecue, and this woman he'd been talking to lately shows up. She walks over, greets the group, all normal stuff. But then she gets to him. "Mike," she says, and it's like the words dipped in honey, soft, playful, with this little chuckle at the end. The rest of us exchanged looks like, "Oh, we see what's happening here." Mike, cool as a cucumber. "Hey," he says back, flipping a burger on the grill like nothing's up. Later I asked him about it, and he just laughed. "She does that every time," he said. "I don't mind." That's Stoic mastery, letting the moment be what it is without getting swept away. And here's the thing, this isn't about her trying to seduce you or play some game. Most of the time, she's not even aware she's doing it. It's involuntary, like her eyes lighting up. It's her subconscious spilling the beans. But you, armed with that Stoic Venture clarity, you've got the upper hand. You're not scrambling to figure out what it means or how to respond. You're just present, taking it in, letting it inform you without letting it define you. Because that's the Stoic way. Control what you can, accept what you can't, and keep moving forward. Let's linger on this one a bit more, because it's worth it. Think about the voices in your own life. The barista who says, "Here's your coffee," in a flat, bored tone, versus the friend who greets you with a, "Hey, man," that's got some life in it. It's subtle, but it's there. Now imagine a woman who's into you. Her voice isn't just warm, it's personal. It's like she's speaking a language only you're meant to hear. I remember this one time, back in college, I had this classmate who'd always greet me the same way. "Hey, you made it." Same words every time. But the way she said it, it was like she was genuinely relieved I showed up. Took me way too long to realize she wasn't just being nice. That's why we're here at STOIC Venture, to help you spot these things in real time, not years later when you're kicking yourself. So, that's the second way. Her voice softens. It tunes itself to you. It carries that little hint of something more. And your job? Stay steady. Don't let it throw you off your game. Just nod, smile if it feels right, and keep being the man you're working to become. We've got 3 more ways to go, and trust me, they're just as telling. Stick with me here on STOIC Venture, because we're only getting started. So, we've got the eyes that light up, the voice that softens and tunes itself to you. 2 signals down, and we're just warming up here on STOIC Venture. You're starting to see the pattern, right? These aren't loud, flashy declarations. They're quiet, human moments that reveal more than words ever could. And that brings us to the third way. A woman greets you when she really likes you. She finds a way to get closer, physically, in that first moment. Now hold up. Don't get it twisted. This isn't about her throwing herself at you or invading your space like some overeager puppy. It's subtler than that, more natural, and if you're not paying attention, you might miss it entirely. But here at STOIC Venture, we're training you to see what others overlook, to stay sharp and grounded while the world spins around you. Let's paint a picture to bring this to life. Imagine you're at a party, not some wild rager, just a chill get-together with friends, music humming in the background, people milling around with drinks in hand. You walk in, scanning the room, embodying that stoic calm we're always chasing. And there she is, maybe someone you've been talking to lately, maybe someone new. She spots you. And instead of just waving from across the room or staying planted where she is, she moves. It's not a sprint. She's not sprinting across the floor like it's the finish line of a race, but it's deliberate. She weaves through the crowd, closing the distance until she's right there in front of you. "Hey, you made it," she says, and she's standing just a little closer than she needs to. Not uncomfortably close, but close enough that you feel her presence. That's the move. That's the sign. And here's where the stoic in you kicks in. You don't flinch. You don't overreact. You just nod, say, "Yeah, good to be here," and let the moment unfold. I've seen this play out in real life more times than I can count. Take my friend Chris, for example. Chris is one of those guys who doesn't try too hard. Quiet, steady, the kind of dude who'd fit right in with the Stoics of old. A while back, we're at this outdoor thing, a barbecue or something, and this woman he'd been getting to know shows up. She's across the yard when he arrives, chatting with some people. But the second she sees him, it's like a magnet flips on. She excuses herself, walks over, casual but purposeful, and stops maybe a foot away, closer than she'd stand with anyone else. "Hey, Chris, glad you're here," she says, and there's this little lean in her body, like she's drawn to him without even realizing it. Chris, cool as ever. "Hey, good to see you too," he says, cracking open a drink like it's no big deal. Later I asked him, "You notice how she came straight to you?" He just grinned and said, "Yeah, I noticed. Doesn't mean I'm going to lose my head over it." That's the STOIC Venture way. See it, process it, stay in control. Why does she do this? What's behind that instinct to close the gap? It's not just random, it's wired into us. When we like someone, really like them, our bodies want to be near them. It's not about logic, it's about feeling. Studies show that proximity is one of the biggest predictors of connection. People gravitate toward what draws them in. But here's the beauty of it. She's not always conscious of it. She's not thinking, okay, I'm going to step 6 inches closer to send a signal. It just happens, like her feet have a mind of their own, and your job, as a man walking the Stoic Venture path, is to clock it without getting swept up. Marcus Aurelius would tell you, what need is there to make a fuss about it? It is what it is. She's showing interest. Great. Doesn't mean you start planning the wedding or tripping over yourself to impress her. You stay steady. Let's dig deeper, because this one's got layers. It's not always a big, obvious move across a room. Sometimes it's smaller, more intimate. Maybe you're in a group, sitting around a table, and she shifts her chair just a little closer to you when she greets you. "Hey, how's your day been?" she asks, and now her shoulder's almost brushing yours. Or maybe you're walking side by side, and she adjusts her pace to match yours, sticking closer than she would with a friend. I remember this one time, years ago. I was at a bookstore. Yeah, I'm that guy who still haunts bookstores. And this woman I'd met a couple times before runs into me. She's browsing, I'm browsing, and she comes over with a "Hey, fancy seeing you here." But instead of staying on her side of the aisle, she steps around the shelf, ends up right next to me, close enough that I can smell her perfume. It wasn't aggressive. It was natural, like she just wanted to be there. Back then, I didn't have the Stoic Venture lens. I probably overthought it, wondered what it meant. Now, I'd just see it for what it is, a sign, not a contract. And here's where it gets fun. You can test this if you're sharp. Next time you're in a situation like that, pay attention to her orbit. Does she linger after the greeting? Does she find excuses to stay near, like adjusting her bag, fiddling with her phone, anything to keep her in your space? That's the tell. But you don't call it out. You don't make it weird. You let it be. Epictetus, another Stoic heavyweight, said, "There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will." Her moving closer, that's her choice, not yours. Your choice is how you handle it, calmly, confidently, without losing your center. So that's the third way. She gets closer. She shrinks the space between you. Whether it's a step across a room or a lean across a table, it's her way of saying, "You're someone I want to be near," even if she'd never admit it out loud. And you, with that Stoic Venture clarity, you take it in stride. We've got 2 more ways to go, and they're just as powerful. Stay with me, because this journey's only getting deeper. And there you have it, gentlemen. 3 unmistakable ways a woman greets you when she really likes you, all filtered through that unshakable Stoic lens we've been sharpening here on Stoic Venture. We've talked about the eyes that light up like a Roman dawn, the voice that softens and tunes itself just for you, and the way she closes the distance, drawn to your presence like it's the most natural thing in the world. These aren't loud proclamations or neon signs flashing, "I'm into you." They're quiet, human, real. And that's what we're all about here at Stoic Venture. Cutting through the noise, seeing the truth, and staying steady no matter what comes our way. Let's take a step back for a second and breathe this in, because it's worth reflecting on. Think about your own life, those moments when someone greeted you and something felt different. Maybe you didn't have the words for it then. Maybe you brushed it off or got caught up in your head. But now you've got the tools. You've got the clarity we've been building together on this channel. You're not just reacting, you're observing, you're processing, you're staying in control. That's the Stoic way, and it's why STOIC Venture isn't just another YouTube channel. It's a lifeline for any man who wants to navigate this wild, unpredictable world with purpose and poise. Now, we've only covered 3 of the 5 ways today, and I know what you're thinking. What about the other 2? Don't leave us hanging. Don't worry, I'm not abandoning you here. Those last 2 ways, they're coming. They're just as powerful, just as subtle, and trust me, they'll hit you with that same mix of insight and Stoic wisdom you've come to expect from STOIC Venture. Maybe we'll dive into them in the next video. How she mirrors your energy, or the way she finds a reason to touch base with you, even if it's just a brush of the hand. But for now, let's sit with what we've got, because these 3 alone are enough to change how you see the world around you. Picture this. You're walking into your day tomorrow. Maybe it's work, maybe it's meeting up with friends, maybe it's just grabbing a coffee, and someone greets you. A woman you know, or maybe someone new. Her eyes spark, her voice shifts. She steps a little closer. Before STOIC Venture, you might have missed it, or worse, you might have let it throw you off your game, overthinking, chasing, losing that calm center. But now you see it for what it is. You nod, you smile if it feels right, and you keep moving forward. That's power. That's the kind of strength Marcus Aurelius was talking about when he said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." You're not a slave to the moment. You're its master. Let me tell you one last story to bring this home, because stories are how we connect the dots here on STOIC Venture. A while back, I was at this community event. Nothing fancy, just people hanging out, eating food, catching up. There's this guy there. Let's call him Tom. Tom's not the loudest guy, not the flashiest, but he's got this quiet gravity, stoic through and through. He's standing off to the side, sipping a drink, when this woman walks up. I'd seen her around before, always friendly, but this time, different. Her eyes light up when she spots him. Her, "Hey Tom," comes out soft and warm, and she steps right into his space. Not pushy, just close. Tom doesn't flinch. "Hey, good to see you," he says, steady as a rock. They chat for a bit, and she lingers, doesn't rush off, doesn't pull away. Later I asked him, "You saw all that, right? The way she greeted you?" He just chuckled. "Yeah," he said, "I saw it. Doesn't mean I'm gonna lose sleep over it. That's the Stoic gold standard. Awareness without attachment. And that's what I want for you, watching this right now. Whether you're new to STOIC Venture or you've been with us for a while, this is about more than decoding a greeting. It's about how you carry yourself through every interaction, every challenge, every day. Seneca once wrote, "Life is long if you know how to use it." Here on STOIC Venture, we're not just passing time, we're making it count. So take these 3 ways, her eyes, her voice, her closeness, and let them sharpen your senses. Don't chase, don't cling, just observe. And when the moment comes, you'll know exactly what to do, or what not to do. Before we wrap up, let's linger here a bit longer, because this is where the rubber meets the road. Imagine you're Marcus Aurelius, sitting in your tent after a long day of leading an empire. The world's chaos is outside, but inside, peace. That's what we're building here. You don't need to control her feelings. You don't need to guess her next move. You just need to control you. And when you spot these signs, The glowing eyes, the softened voice, the step closer. You've got a choice. You can let it inflate your ego. You can let it rattle you. Or you can let it be what it is. A moment. Nothing more, nothing less. That's the Stoic Venture difference. We don't get lost in the hype. We stay rooted in the real. So what's next? Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we're not done yet. There's more to explore. Those last 2 ways, plus everything else we unpack here on Stoic Venture. Drop a comment below. Tell me about a time you noticed one of these greetings, or just let me know what you think. Did this hit home for you? Did it make you see something in a new light? I read every single one, because this isn't just a channel, it's a community. And if you're feeling this, share it with a friend who needs it. Let's keep spreading that stoic fire. For now, though, let's close this chapter. Walk out there tomorrow with your head